And just quickly, Scott didn't share, but before Youngevity, his house was foreclosed on, and he literally all his vehicles were repossessed, and he had nothing. So he went from absolutely nothing to that. So Manfred, would you like to come up? Manfred is our New Zealand legendary leader. Come over here, Manfred. No, Manfred since I was a little boy, and he says I look up to him, and I always look up to him, but actually we're getting a bit closer now, aren't we? Well, I'm looking a bit more eye to eye now, aren't we there?
Oh, they actually start.
No, there's always something scary, I'm telling you. Now, anyway, so Manfred's going to share about financial literacy. He's also going to share about the Nano Balance payment plan, is that right? And also the compensation plan and how we make income with Youngevity. Is that correct? And Manfred also has flown this time? Or driven? You drove?
I'm driving home just after the event.
You are?
7 hours.
Yeah.
But I did fly down because I picked up a new car.
Yeah, but you've got your vehicle, haven't you?
Wow.
So but he usually drives all the way from Golden Bay, but he's driving back there afterwards. So he's a legend. Thanks very much, Manfred.
So we heard from Scott that he was 39 when he was broke. Well, worse than broken. Well, I was 40 when I had a baby, and until I was, well, I didn't have the baby, but we had a baby.
I was going to say, whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, still in there.
Yeah. You did yourself a fair.
I've got that content, Manfred, when you want it, otherwise I'll turn the screen off.
In a little while.
Okay.
Or you can put it as a background.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
mind.
Yeah.
So I was in teenage rebellion until I was 40. I did whatever I wanted to do. I was free, and I had no time for having kids and family and getting married and all that stuff. Well, it happened by surprise, and I'm a man of commitment, so I didn't run away when my then girlfriend said I'm pregnant. So anyway, I had to change my life from living basically without money by choice. I've had a classical musician career in Austria, which I had the money, but I didn't have the time. I swapped that for having the time and no money. And then I had to find a balance when I was 40. And by the time I was 42, thanks to this business model of network marketing, I had a 6-figure residual income. And I want to talk about what that means and how to get it, right? So I wasn't financially literate, and financial literacy is not taught in school. My accountant is highest quality qualified accountant and a lawyer, and he came out of studying for years and years and years at university, and he admits he learned nothing about financial literacy. Now, accountants are good bookkeepers, lawyers are good law keepers, but financially literate, they are not. They may earn a lot of money and they may spend it all, and they pay a lot of tax when you earn a lot of money. So financial literacy means making money in my way of thinking of money is money comes with energy. If you get money in a bad way, you'll end up in a bad place. If you earn money in a good way, you can get to a very good place, right? So making a lot of money and then losing it all or ending up in bad places, right, wasn't my choice. And what I like about network marketing, right, this is a bit, who here has got their own business, right? So everybody who is a member in Youngevity has their own business. The problem with network marketing is, so if you've had a conventional business, you can say, I'm a business person, right? Most people are employees somewhere, they've never had their own business, and then they start network marketing and they don't know what business means. Business, any business you start, it takes all your money, all your time, all your energy, until you hopefully out of debt. You either succeed and get out of debt, because most people start a business in debt, right? You either succeed and get out of debt, or you go bankrupt. And a lot of small businesses go bankrupt. In the last few years, more than ever, people went bankrupt. A network marketing business, you start with no debt. Like, what does it cost you to buy Healthy Body Start Pack, right? $200. For $200 you start your own business. Now, if you start your own business, you better start thinking like a business person quickly. And that's what most people don't do. They start as a customer and see how it is going, and slowly, and not behaving like a business person. So the most important about financial literacy is there's two kinds of laws for people. There's the law for employees and there's the law for business owners. Now, business owners pay tax at the end of the year on their profit. And whatever they spend on building their business isn't profit. It's an investment in their business, right? So when I don't want to use Trump as an example really, but they have hassled him a lot about not paying tax. But instead of paying tax, he built skyscrapers and hotels and whatever, and wrote that off. So whatever millions of profit he made, he spent and actually made a difference to those people who stay in his hotels, right? Didn't make much difference to us. But in our business, we spent money on travel, on phone, on buying a new computer, a new phone, set yourself up in business. If you're financially literate, you get GST registered, and everything you spend on your business, you get the GST back. That's an important, like, I'm not the accountant. I have an accountant who is also in our business, so he understands network marketing very well. He's given us a document on how to start a network marketing business, and I'm happy to, or Cheryl can email it to anybody. We got the document from him. So he's a doctor of law and a qualified practicing accountant. And not every accountant understands network marketing. But because he's chosen this business because he understands it, and he understands it as a tax advantage, and he's got 6 kids, and they're all on these products, and he doesn't pay GST on those products, and he writes it off at the end of the year as an investment in his business rather than an expense. So once you really get that, he's saying the average income earner in New Zealand, say high school teacher, say maybe 60,000 a year, right? He gets them $4,000 to $5,000 at the end of the year back out of the tax they paid that was taken out of their, when you have a job, the tax is taken out before you see the money. Well, but if you start your home-based business, as a business, and you declare it to the ID, I've started my business, ideally you set up a company, that's also good for tax reasons. You might set up a family trust to keep your assets out of the business, right? All those things are part of financial literacy. I haven't got enough time to focus on that today, but when you have an accountant who understands what our business is, if they say you can't write off the products off your tax, get another accountant. So this guy's name is Stephen Diedrichs. He's got a business called Tax Owl, like a wise owl, right? So it's Stephen at taxowl.co.nz. You can write to him. He's happy to talk to anybody. And he's happy to talk to your accountant if your accountant says, no, you can't. Because they say, well, if you own a dairy, you can't write off the products that your family uses as a tax advantage. But that's not our business. Our business is, if I don't order the products 1 month, I don't get paid. Every month I have to order a certain amount of product that gives me the business. Then I have an income. Therefore, because I have to buy the product to have a business, the products are tax deductible. And all it takes is you declaring it's a business. If it's a hobby or you're a customer, you can't do that. So that's why it's important to say, I have my own business. No? When I first started network marketing nearly 30 years ago, I was so proud of having found the right business. Like, I was a musician before, I never had a business. And I had this friend who was to me like he was the business person. So I showed up at his door and said, I just started my own business. He says, what's your business? I tell him about the product, because that's what we do, right? We think the business is the product. And he says, that's not your own business, you're the sales rep for the company. And he reduced my enthusiasm from having started my own business to being a sales rep, which was the last thing I wanted to be, right? It took me a long time to recover from that shock. And you'll get people say all kinds of things to you that take a while to recover from, right? So the business, our business, yes, there's products that make this whole business possible, but our business is the relationships we have with the people. The advertising companies spend millions of dollars on trying to build trust when they tell you that Coca-Cola is great, right? They want you to trust that Coca-Cola is great, and they have your favorite movie star telling you how great it is, right? And they pay them millions, they pay the TV company millions. That's marketing. And when you buy the toothpaste in the supermarket, that you buy this one instead of that one on the shelf, you do so because you like that ad more than the other ad, right? And up to 80% of the money you pay for the toothpaste is not for the toothpaste. It's for the advertising, for the packaging, that it looks good, and to get it to the supermarket shelf. This kind of business model, they don't store things on the shelf and hope that you buy it because they make $1 million advertising. They keep it at the company and send it out to people who already paid for it because we told them about it, right? And that's our reward. Now that's the money side of the reward. I said to somebody out there in the break, this is my pay. These people here, especially the people who walked up here and shared their testimonial, that's my real payment. If I was making the kind of money I'm making, and nobody ever said that their life changed because of the products, I'd feel like a con man. Right? I tell them that it will change your life and it doesn't work. And I tell more people every month because they don't order the next month because the product didn't work. Yes, those people are out there. They just sell on the internet, never build a relationship. People buy it once, next month they buy something else. That's not network marketing. Network marketing, the residual income comes from people buying something. You tell them about it, you share the value. They buy it, they get the value. Like Scott said, under promise and over deliver. Right? I don't know what it will do for you, but chances are your life will get better when you get on the 90 for life. And then if you got specific problems, I can offer some specific other products, right? But if they don't deliver, if I'm a good salesperson, if I was a good con man, I could make anybody buy a lot of product once. But they don't buy it again by their free will the next month. And the only time I have a residual income is if people get the value, they see the value, and they keep ordering every month. For the rest of their life, because as Steve Wallach said, as long as you're breathing, you need 90 nutrients. Every day your body is using it up. The busier you are, the more your body uses up the nutrients. Now, physical stress is actually relatively easy to handle, because physical stress, if you're in a labor camp or a prisoner of war, like was mentioned by Scott, right? You are under a lot of physical stress, but you can't get out. You're kind of in prison, made to work, and people have lived for years in concentration camp or whatever labor camps, right? When you haven't got any choice, you just survive, and the body copes, right? But the situation we have, we are in a prison, we are in a straitjacket, right? If you earn less than your expenses are every month, which is a lot of people now, right? There's a lot of financial stress. Now, financial stress is the cause of most emotional stress. It's relationships and finances. And often relationships are challenged because of finances. So it all comes back in one way or another to the money. That's why I say money is not the most important thing in life, but it's right there with oxygen, because you need it every day, right? And you need the 90 nutrients. So if you have that stress that you're running on a hamster wheel and you're not making enough to pay off the credit card at the end of the month, that emotional stress will use up a lot of nutrients. That's when you need to spend even more money on getting your energy back so you can actually change your life situation. Otherwise you end up with a disease, and once you got a disease and you got a medical condition that they give you some medication, and as we heard, now people are on a lot of medication. They're taking organs out to try to fix you as if you didn't need a gallbladder, right? It's crazy. That whole system is not designed to make us healthy. Their system's designed to make us more sick, because the business model of the pharmaceutical industry is they need more sick people, and the same people sicker so they can sell you more. Now you could say the same thing about us. We want you to buy this every month, but it's the food we really need. So I'm an example. I lived 10 years on self-sufficiency, and after 10 years, when my wife got pregnant, we found out that we were the most mineral deficient people on the planet, because we ate fresh organic food. We were vegetarian at the time too, which is very depleting. I wouldn't suggest it to anybody. Vegan and vegetarian, all those health trips have actually made us more and more depleted of nutrients, right? So when my wife was pregnant and we found out from 2 different naturopaths who did all these tests, they said, you are the most mineral deficient people I've ever tested. The people in the city who were the unhealthy people, in our self-judgment, right, were less mineral deficient than us, who lived out of one soil for 10 years, because what isn't in that soil isn't in the food you grow in it. So you're growing your own food, but you're not getting what's not in the soil. That's when, and up to that point, I said, I'll never ever take supplements. The sickest people on the planet you meet in the health food shop. That was my main joke about health food shops. Read healthy food. Well, it didn't work. So I'm a living example for that. I know it deeply. So when I share with people, you need those 90 nutrients, I know it's true, right? And as Scott said, be real. Only share what's true to you, and share it in your natural way. And the best advice I can give for the how do you invite and how do you build your business is, don't offer anything to anybody until you know what they need, right? It's not about talking and sales. I have what you need. I don't know what you need. I have to have qualifying conversations, right? So if you invite a good friend or family that you already know their situation, you say, hey, look, the kids were sick 3 times last winter. You got sick every time. I think it's time we looked at some products that I'm taking that last winter none of us got sick, right? If that's true. So with people who you know the situation, you can hit the situation on straight. With people you don't know, you have to ask enough questions so that they give you enough information, and until you really know that you've got something that could help them, don't offer help. I can't say I can help you if I don't know any of your problems, right? Everybody's got problems, and everybody loves talking about their problems. Now, that's also a trap in our business. You can spend all these work hours, if you do 5 hours a week, you can listen to one person for 5 hours a week telling you all their problems. But if you never ask the question, so my favorite qualifying question with somebody with problems is, have you got a picture of yourself being really well in the near future? And if they say, no, the doctor told me I got 6 months to live, right? They're looking that way and they got 6 months. Who am I to tell them I could get you over there in those 6 months? I know I could, most likely, but only if they're willing to turn around and face that way. But if they're committed to facing that way and they're running as fast as possible in the wrong direction, we can spend a lot of time trying to convince them to turn around. And this business isn't about convincing and cajoling and twisting their arm and making them buy it once. The people who buy it once, they say, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. It's a nice saying that fits well in our business. If you convince them that that is good for them, but they just buy it because they can't say no to you, they look for the whole month for a reason to not have to buy it again. And that's a big distraction, because we want them to be well, but they just want to not spend the money. And the money is the main reason why people don't buy. Right? So to me, a good customer is somebody who knows what we offer, understands it, even if they need a lot of education, but they want to know. And then they make this decision, and if they're not willing to take it for 90 days. No, I meet all these people who say, I've tried everything, nothing worked. Well, they tried everything for 2 weeks. Or they buy a month's program, make it last for 3 months, and after 3 months, say, I've tried it, it doesn't work. Right? Well, they should have taken double the amount rather than half the amount. Right? So that is your qualifying. Even if you sign somebody up, if they're not coachable and they're not listening and they're not taking the right amount, and they don't want to go on auto ship for 3 months because they want to see if it works first, they make their decision if it works or not in the first week, which is never fair with nutrition. Nutrition takes 3 months to change your cells enough. Of course, we have miracles happen in the first week. And the people who go out there and share a miracle, nobody believes them, right? Or if I convince you it's my miracle and then you take it and you haven't got a miracle, you say, well, it didn't work for me. Worked for me in a week, didn't work for you in a week. Might have taken 3 months for it to work for you, right? So miracles are not a good way of advertising because people don't believe it or they don't have. If I have a certain health issue and I use my story is only interesting to somebody who has the same health issue. If you tell me about your chronic fatigue and I don't have chronic fatigue, what am I thinking? I'm thinking, well, I don't need that. I can see you needed that, I don't need it. Right? Everybody needs the 90 nutrients. So, Joanne, if we can have the thing, because I'm aware of the time, I'm going to run out of time. I can go a long way into all these different things, like 2 hour training sessions. The compensation pay.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't got eyes in the back. These products are amazing, but they still don't make me see in the back. They make me see really well forward.
Can you read that?
Yeah, yeah. So, who hasn't seen this before? Okay. So, if we're doing Youngevity, once you decide, okay, I have my own business now with Youngevity, this is your business plan. This tells you exactly how the business works and how it pays, right? So, without going into too much detail, you only need to know from there to here, right? There is personal, first of all, there's qualifying value and there's business value. The business volume or business value is what we get paid on in US dollars, right? The qualifying value is for all these ranks, associate, brand associate, sales associate. You only have to think of 1-star executive because when you look here, these are the levels you get paid. So if I introduce somebody and I've only ordered myself 50 QV, which is probably one of those products. Every product has a qualifying volume and a business volume. And that's on the website. When you look at products, it tells you their qualifying volume and their business volume. So if you order that, you get paid that 5% on 2 levels. So what you order yourself is the qualifying for the ranks. And then there's certain conditions of what it takes to reach those ranks, which is usually how much the people you introduce buy. So you're creating volume. Now it's called multi-level marketing because you get paid on multi-levels. If you were a vacuum cleaner salesperson on commission sales, right? And you are good at sales and you knock on a lot of doors at 8 at night and sell people something they don't really want right now, but you're not leaving, right? Those people exist. And so they make a lot of money if they're good at pushy sales. If they bring in another person to the company who also does that, the company may give them a one-off commission saying, thank you, you got us another salesperson. That one brings another person to the company, and that becomes this super duper vacuum cleaner salesperson. Like they make the company millions. The company would have never found that person without you. You're here, you got that person, 3rd level down, you make nothing. The company makes all the money and paid that person that you introduced a one-off fee. That's commission sales, right? Do you agree on that?
Yes.
The difference with network marketing is every level down. So I introduce the people that are on my 1st level. They introduce people that are on my second level, who introduce people on my third level, and so on. It's up to 12 levels deep in Youngevity. I've been in three other companies before Youngevity. The best company pays 4 levels deep, and Youngevity pays 3 times that deep. So that's one very unique part of this pay plan is I still make 1% of the business volume of people on my 12th level.
Wow.
So when you sign up 3 people and they sign up 3 people, you can do the math of how many people you got on your 12th level. It doesn't work that way, like 3 never get 3 who get 3. But, you know, 1 gets a lot of people, 1 gets no people, and 1 gets...
Possibility.
It's
Yeah.
the theory of
Yeah,
network marketing. The skeptics will say,
Yeah.
in binary plans, they tell you only need 2 people. If 2 people get 2 people who get 2 people, so many levels down, you signed up the whole planet. Then they say, it's a pyramid scheme, it can't work because you run out of people. Well, the biggest company in the industry is YGY. They've been around for 70 years or something. And they haven't signed up everybody on the planet. And there's people making a ton of money who signed up a year ago in YGY. Some people just make the money in any pay plan. YGY is, well, I shouldn't say that, but
One of the hardest.
it's pretty the hardest plan to make money in.
Less paying as well.
And some people make a lot of money. So it's not the company, it's not the products. The network marketing is the person who can build relationships so people trust them. You know, it's all built on know, like, and trust. If somebody doesn't trust you, it doesn't matter what you say, they won't hear it. And they certainly won't act on it. So network marketing is marketing to your network. If you haven't got any friends at all that you could approach, network marketing is a great business to change that. Because you have to make friends, right? If you have a lot of friends who know, like, and trust you, you're way ahead of that other example, right? Some will try, that's what happened to me. I never sold anything to anybody, but when I came out of the bush after 10 years and said to my musician friends up north on the phone, I found something we could do together. We could make a lot of money, make a real difference in people's life, and have a lot of fun doing it. Are you open to look at some information and talk to my friend about it because I've just started? That is all you need to say. So that's my 3 values. Make money because I really needed it. I had a 1-year-old child and no money. 1 year is fine, we don't need any, but she was a girl and somebody told me they take a lot of money by the time they leave home. And I grew up as a single mother and I always heard, we can't afford this. So as soon as I started the money journey, I wanted to have enough money to never have to say we can't afford this. In 2 years, I had enough money to take her to Austria and introduce her to my family up there. And she traveled with me to all the conventions to the States, and she saw her dad up on the stage and filmed it. And she had an amazing life. She's now 29 and I'm a granddad now. And she's so grateful, even though I was mostly talking to other people while she was little on the phone, right? She'd come up to me and do this, and I'd say yes to that because I always had a headset on. And now I say to her, do you regret that I was always on the phone to other people? She said, no, because you were always there when I needed you. Because she'd come up and pull my leg, and I say to whoever I'm talking to, hang on, I just have to talk to my girl. It's a home-based business. You're at home with your kids, and you're in business. There's nothing more beautiful. And the only money I make every month, which I'm extremely grateful for, is from people like you buying a product that makes a difference in your life by your free will. I didn't twist your arm to buy it, right? But I get a commission because I introduced Cheryl and Forrest, you know, and they introduced you. And I make a little commission on every product you buy. But you know, when people don't understand network marketing and think it's a pyramid scheme, the pyramid scheme is a rip-off, right? The pyramid scheme doesn't last 30 years. If somebody runs a pyramid scheme for a few years, eventually it falls apart because it's paying Peter with Paul, right? It's about money and the last people in lose. In this business, the last person in still buys the same product for the same price as I still buy the product for the same price. It's just that I make a lot more money than it costs me. So the business buys the product. But the last person in, if there was ever a last person, it isn't, because this company has lasted over 30 years and will last another 300 years, hopefully. The kids and the grandkids, and it's, you can pass on the business to your kids, right? It's for generations. They've already done that, the Wallicks, right? Dr. Wallick is the originator, and the kids are doing it now, and their kids will probably take it on. So the only money that comes is by people freely buying the product. Isn't that a beautiful way of making money?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then when I come to events and people tell their story, I know if I made a difference in a mother's life, I changed the next generation and the next 7 generations after that, because they have a different life by growing up healthy. And if I can help the family make an extra income, everybody in the family is happier than if mom and dad are both working and they're both stressed and the kids are farmed out everywhere and all that. My goal was stay at home, see my little girl grow up, and I'm the living example for that. And she's 29, so 28 years later, I have an income from people I got onto the products 28 years ago.
Yes.
And I'm very lucky that the company that I did before Youngevity is now in Youngevity, which is that product. Right? So I did that for 15 years before we joined Youngevity. And then we brought it into Youngevity, which is...
Let's do 1 minute on that, because I see people don't know what that is.
Right.
Do
Well,
1 minute on that.
so the 90 is all about, and Dr. Wallick is all about amounts, right? Like, take 2 packets if you're big. Well, this is kind of the opposite. It's very tiny amounts of all the nutrients, because it's 9 seaweeds and aloe vera. And people who eat a lot of seaweed, or people say, oh, I eat sushi once a week, I get enough seaweed, right? If we eat seaweed, and we're not Japanese people have eaten seaweed, lots of seaweed, for thousands of generations. They have an enzyme in the gut that helps them break it down. They actually get the nutrients. If we eat seaweed, it makes for good bowel movements, and if you like the taste, it tastes nice. Most people don't like it. So there's 9 different seaweed, which is like 9 different herbs. You know, like in the herbal rainforest, we got these different herbs that have different qualities for health. Well, the 9 different seaweeds also have different qualities each. Well, there's red and brown and green, and they're just like the herbs in the garden, but because they grow under the water, we just call them all weeds. But even in the garden, the weeds are often better than the main plant.
Yes.
So the aloe vera does the job of absorption. The aloe vera makes the nutrients in the seaweed bioavailable to our body. And aloe vera is also the highest oxygen holding of all plants. So you get oxygen and nutrients. And when you look at what's on the health scene out there, it's all about oxygen, more oxygen, and more nutrients. And the nutrients have to be absorbable. So when we take nutrients that are isolated, the body says, what's that? There's a calcium coming in. I drink cow's milk. Well, I don't even want to start that subject. There's not much that you actually get good from drinking cow's milk, unless it's unpasteurized and unhomogenized and full cream. But that was making a huge difference to us, because we got the trace elements that weren't in the ground. And when you got all the trace elements, then you start absorbing all the nutrients. Right? So, and that's also the same story with Youngevity, plant-derived minerals. Right? It's just that that's a 1,000,000-year-old ancient forest, and this is seaweed that grows under the water now. So it's a matter of priorities. I take both. I still drink that because I've been drinking it for 26 years now. And I also drink a lot, I'd say most of the Youngevity products, right? Because I can, right? So initially it's a matter of money. Start with what you can afford. If you can only add selenium to your current situation, the selenium alone will make a huge difference. And don't take selenium from the pharmacy as an isolated selenium. our selenium has got all the cofactors that you need to actually absorb it. So that's the cheapest product, or the digestive enzymes, right? Take digestive enzymes before every meal will make a huge difference in how much nutrition you get, because we used to hear always, you are what you eat. It's not true. You are what you eat and absorb and then activate on a cellular level, right? If you eat a carrot, 2 hours later there's no carrot in your blood. But the sugar that you get out of the carrot ends up being energy, and that's the ATP that creates your energy. So it's not what we eat, it's what we get out of it. And if your digestion's weak, you can eat a lot and you'll always still be hungry because you didn't get much. The body says, I didn't get what I need. The brain says, I need to eat more. And we eat and eat and eat, and we don't get what the body needs. When the body gets what it needs, we're not hungry, and we got plenty of energy. It's a completely different life. And watching people on the street these days, it's just about everybody needs to change what they're doing. Now, if they want to go that way, but they're all running that way. So, how much time have I got?
No, you're right.
No,
No.
you're perfectly
keep
fine.
going.
Because the Nano Balance is brand new. Have you got,
Show
have you
us
got
the Nano
bottle of
Balance.
Nano
Yeah.
Balance? I've seen the paperwork, but I haven't seen the product yet.
Yeah.
This is the first bottle in New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Steve kind of got sidetracked. He mentioned that there's a certain pay plan with it. So this is pure gold, right? And I want to show you how much the company pays in New Zealand dollars. And I had it all written down, and I don't know where the piece of paper
Oh.
is.
Oh.
But I have it all in my head.
Okay.
So, the company pays us $1.50, well no, the exchange rate is 1.53, right? So we have to pay 1.53 New Zealand dollars for $1 of US. So I did all the calculations on this payout, you see 5%, 8%. There's also more detail to this. When you first sign somebody up, you get what's called a quick start bonus. The quick start bonus is 30%, right? Then it's 8% for most of us, depending on what the owner order is. So when you sign somebody up and they buy this, you get the quick start bonus. Now I talked briefly about QV and BV, right? The BV is what we get paid on. This is 32 BV. So we get paid the percentage on 32 in US dollars. Right? And when you first sign somebody up on this, with the quick start, you get 45 New Zealand dollars commission. Because you get the normal commission structure that's on here, plus 20 US dollars. 20 US dollars is rounded up 30 New Zealand dollars on the 1.53, right? So you get $30 every time somebody buys that, no matter, well, you have to sign them up, right? You get somebody on this product, you get whatever the commission says, plus 20 US dollars. So that's 30, the 30% of 32 on the fast start bonus, 32 BV, 30% is another 15 New Zealand dollars. So you get $45 every time you sign somebody new up who buys this. They can buy the 90, they can buy anything else or just that. You're making $45. If you sign up 10 people in a month, that's an extra $450 New Zealand. That's in network marketing unheard of. It's the easiest way to make $450, right? And that's the quick start. After that, it's 8% because they're on your front line, you sign them up. You still get the $30 extra commission that's paid out weekly. And you get 8%, which is $4 New Zealand. 8% on the 32. So you're making $34 forever after if the same person buys it, or every month they buy it. So they can buy it now, they cannot buy it the next month because they make it last 2 months because it's pure gold. Every time they buy it, you get paid the $30 New Zealand in a week later. Well, it's usually 3 weeks later. It's a bit of delay to get it calculated and into your bank account. But the amount of money that you can make on top of an excellent pay plan, right? The pay plan is good, but it takes a while. Now to make $1,000, you need to have 10,000 BV, the business volume, roughly. This is a very rough calculation because you can see there's lots of different levels, but once you are one star, you get all the different levels paid, and you have some real business partners who duplicate. Because my picture to network marketing is network marketing starts when you're 4 levels deep. If you just sign people up, you're the vacuum cleaner salesperson, right? Like, you can be good at sales, but you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So however you do this business, however you start the conversation with somebody, that's all they know how this business works, right? So say if you're at the market stall, and then you say, oh, you could do this business, you go, I could never do a market stall. If you're the health expert and you tell them all about what we call boron alley, you know, like boron is a tiny little mineral, but they could focus on every mineral in the night of your life. By the time you're 2 minerals down, they have stopped listening to you, right? And they could never do what you do, so they can't duplicate the business. You have to be aware when you talk to somebody about the business, you don't want to give them a reason to ever come back and say, I couldn't do what you do. You have to make it that simple that they can do the business tomorrow, because they can invite 3 of their friends to their home, you show up in person or on Zoom, and you talk to their friends. And then they say, well, this guy knew a lot, I could never do that. And you say, well, you only need to do what I did. I got the 3 of you in my house, poured you a cup of coffee and got you to listen to this guy. Can you do that? And that guy, whoever he is, will be very happy to talk to your friends and your friends. He'll show up whenever you need him because it's a mutual benefit. See, in a normal business, your upline is your boss. You work for them. They pay you if you behave. They don't pay you, they sack you if you don't behave, right? In this business, you working with your upline, and your upline's working for you because they can only make money if you succeed. If I sign up a lot of people and they buy it every month, I can make some money. The real money comes from after 4 levels deep, you out of the business. The person on your front line is now the 3 levels upline. They are now the specialist because they've learned, while they earned, they've learned everything they need to know from being on those calls with the upline. And if you show that as the example, eventually the only time you are allowed to be the expert is when you got 3 levels deep business and they introduce you as the big guy, right? It's the easiest part of the job, being the big guy. But don't be the big guy too early, because otherwise you're never gonna earn the money that the big guys earn. The big guys earn because they know when to shut up. They know that the best thing you can ever say is, I don't know, but I can introduce you to somebody who might know it. And then when you're the upline and it's really scary because now you're introduced as the big guy, it's still the best thing to say, oh, I don't know that, but if it's, and here's another secret, on that level of being the upline, instead of saying, I can find out, and now making all the effort to find out, now I say to people, if it's really important to you, I can find out. And they say, oh, no. You know, and I used to make all this extra effort, and when you get back to them, it wasn't even important. They just thought they had to be intelligent and ask a question.
Yeah.
So I think I can stop there.
Can I
cover that?
just ask a question?
Yeah, we just forgot
With the
one thing.
Nano Balance, do you need to be a distributor to get that $20 American
Yeah.
reward?
Yes, because
So-
you need to have 50 QV.
Yes, so that's important too. So can we tell everybody how much it costs to be a distributor?
All right.
Yeah.
$34, isn't it? It's $30 plus GIST.
Yes.
Yeah, so if, I think most people are distributors.
And if you get really ready to do
Yeah.
business, you get the gist back.
So you can have your own business for $34 basically,
Yeah.
then you've got your own
And it's a
website.
one-off membership fee.
Yep,
Yeah, so if you
So
sold
far.
3 of those a week to 3 new people, you're getting $100 a week, just,
On that sales line.
yeah.
It's 135.
What?
135.
Oh, 135, yeah.
Only $45.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is the quick start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the most amazing part. The quick start
Yes.
is also paid on it.
yeah.
You know? And the upline still gets all that. So if if you are that far down, I still get 1% of 32, which it doesn't sound like much money, does it? But you would be surprised how many people are on that 12th level.
Yeah.
Yeah? So that's the magic of this business model is you build a network, and the richest people on the planet build networks, and everybody else is looking for work, and you usually work for them. This is a model where I can come out of the bush at 40 and have no money, and in 2 years be financially free. And I didn't grow up here, I didn't know many people. I had a few mates who were musicians. None of us were business people, but we had an amazing 30 years by now.
Any other questions for Manfred?
Yeah, does anyone else have any questions for Manfred?
Does it make sense?
yeah.
So
That was
we'll have it on
fantastic.
video, and we have Scott on video, and we have Steve Wallick on video. As soon as we can send those out,
Yeah.
people will have a lot more to work on.
Thank you, Manfred, that was
Yeah, no, thanks,
really
thanks, Manfred.
fantastic, I really appreciate it.
Well, before everyone cruises away, I think we're going to do one more draw. Is that right? Yep.